We've had a lot of comments from viewers like you who have been asking what is going on with the King Crimson John Wetton era transcriptions book. And in case you don't know, there already is a Discipline era transcriptions book. This is a transcription of every instrument from the 1980s King Crimson albums. Um, Discipline, Three of a Perfect Pair, and Beat. And the guy who did a huge bulk load of the work, what, 90% or more of of all the work, is here with us to provide an update on the John Wetton transcriptions. This is Gabe Riccio. Gabe, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Anthony. Thanks for asking.
All right, man. So I was lucky enough to get Stan, one of our proofreaders, to send me this, a proofreader copy of Red. So presumably the entirety of Red is at least transcribed. You know, it'd be great to get an update on where things are and what's being included in the Wetton era transcriptions book.
Yes, indeed. So the first draft of the book is pretty close to complete. I'm still working on Larks, particularly some of the Jamie Muir material, because a lot of the stuff that he plays on that record is instruments that he built and invented himself. So how do you even reference them? It's a difficult question. But Starless and Red have their first drafts complete, and so we're mostly omitting the live improv tracks just because this is about trying to capture the composed material from the era primarily. So Providence isn't in Red, and most of the live improvs in Starless and Bible Black are not going to be in the book, but instead, um, we're going to include some extra stuff. I mean, we're not completely omitting the live material, like the end of the Mincer will appear in there, but also Dr. Diamond, which is a track from that era, which never got recorded in the studio, but was played regularly live, will be in the book. And one of the interesting things about that track is that um, the bridge completely changes at a point, right? There's a certain point in their performances where they switch from kind of a fast, energetic rock and bridge to a slower, more atmospheric contrast thing. And I'm trying to represent both of those in the book, so um, that's one of the things about this whole project that is a little tricky because, for instance, the song Larks Tongues in Aspic Part 1 um, is actually kind of a modular composition. So it was never played live ever the way it was recorded in the studio. And there's several different sections to the piece. So, part of what I've been trying to do is track through the years what the form of the piece was and somehow put something together to be able to say, well, if you want to play the version from early 1972, then here's how to approach this score. And if you want to play, the version that the seven-headed beast of Krim was playing, then here's how to approach this score. You know, so there's definitely some real challenges in this, but it's coming together. It's coming along.
What is something that people probably don't know? You know, what have you discovered? You know, in the transcription work here, and also it'd be good to maybe inform people how much of the material you listen to, not just on a track by track analysis, but like you mentioned, the live recordings.
Yeah, well, the big box sets from that era I have listened to in their entirety. So I don't know how many hours of live recordings that is, but it's a lot. It's a whole lot. Um, and probably at least 80 discs worth of material. um, and uh, and that's very interesting because the Larks box material is very hard to hear, unfortunately, which is kind of tragic because that's the only live document of Jamie Muir. Um, and you can really barely hear him at all on those recordings. They're just such poor quality. Whereas I think after that, they actually started touring with an engineer who was explicitly recording all the shows. And so, in the Starless and Bible Black era, it starts getting much better quality. But yeah, a couple things that are of interest to me is just tracing the development of these pieces. And so, for example, Exiles is actually based on a piece called Mantra that the 1969 band played a lot live, but never got around to recording. And Lament, there's a chunk of Lament, I believe. Was it? It was either Lament or Larks one, and I'm blanking on which it was right now, but I think it was Lament that is actually based on a B-side from In the Wake of Poseidon called A Peacemaking Stint Unrolls, So these unfolds, Peacemaking Stint unfolds. So these are all things I'm trying to make note of in the book is just kind of trace the evolution of these pieces a little bit and how they change over time because that's always the challenge with a Crimson book, right? Is that um, I almost see from the John Wetton era onwards as even though it's multiple different bands within that time frame, kind of the through line that Robert Fripp brings to it um, makes it so it's like a single idea or set of ideas rather. It's a single set of ideas that just unfold and transform over time in a way, right? And are interpreted by different people who enter the group. And so that's that almost makes it sort of like almost raises the question of where one song begins and the next where one song ends and the next begins sometimes, because you have all these related pieces that the running lick throughout Larks Tongues Part One that appears in parts 2 and 3 and 4 as well throughout the years, right? That also forms the basis of a lot of the song, The Construction of Light. Um, and I can almost, I don't know how intentional it was, but I can almost hear the origins of some of the licks that appear on Discipline in like the sax breakdown sections of One More Red Nightmare, you know, the way the guitars work there and the shape of them, those 5/8 figures. So yeah, and then kind of the other really wild card element to this whole thing is, as I mentioned, Jamie Muir, right? Who is just pretty much fully improvisatory, right? And that's the other difficult thing about capturing this stuff because I think a lot of these pieces have sort of a composed scaffold, and then everything else around the scaffold is improvised. And, a really solid example of that is already out there is in Discipline, in the Discipline book, or Title Song from Thrack, which is in the Thrack book that we also have available. Um, and these pieces are designed to include a lot of improvisation. So they're designed to be different every time, right? So creating a score is kind of like trying to capture the parts of the piece that are static, that are stable across performances, and that does require listening to a lot of live performances to determine what those parts actually are, right? And in the case
So
of
it's
Jamie Murr, it's none of them, as far as I
it's
can tell. So
probably safe to say you are one of the world's leading experts on like living practicing experts on this music, not just understanding it but understanding the evolution of it in a way that probably no one outside the band ever really has.
thank you, appreciate that.
Yeah, so you mentioned the Thrack book that is here. It's awesome. I know people looking at the Wetton era transcriptions may not be interested in Thrack in particular, um, with the double trio thing, but if you're interested in sheet music, in how King Crimson music works, the transcription books, especially if you can read music, are super fascinating to me And it is cool to hear you mention that, like, you can hear sort of echoes or seeds in the 1970s that end up moving on through the decades. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, well, actually, I think there's a really compelling argument to be made on that front for if you are interested in the 70s wet material, then Thrax should be very interesting to you because the framing tracks on that record, Vroom and Vroom Vroom, are really spiritual successors to Red. Um, the basic form of them is an intentional mirror of Red, and that's an interesting thing too, where it's like you'll see not just concrete musical ideas that appear recurring throughout the band's discography, but forms as well. Like Level 5 is another great example where it's like the that running idea that is the Larks idea in some sense isn't in that song, right? And I think that's why it's not called Larks 5 like it was originally going to be titled, but Level 5. Again, it's a spiritual successor kind of thing, you know, and I always sort of hear Electric as being a little bit of a spiritual successor to Fracture, you know, sharing that whole tone idea. Yeah, there's just a real compositional through line through all of it. You know, not so much on the first four records, which I think are more kind of exploratory in a way, still trying to find um, the ideas, the sound. But I think starting on Larks, that's where it becomes really concrete, and there's just a solid cohesion through the rest of the discography. You know, so it's
That's
like one big
interesting.
project to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really interesting, especially with Level 5, because I just thought it was a hat tip to the Good to Great book, the business book. Like, I thought
Oh, okay.
maybe Robert had read, Good to Great and was like, Level 5, yes, business mastery and all this stuff. But no, it's probably Larks 5. Interesting.
Yeah, I can't speak to that, but it was originally titled Larks Part 5
Huh.
um, before they put out a recording of it. That was the working title. So,
Very
and it's
cool.
interesting because you know, Fractured as well on the Construction of Light, which is, you know, obviously a spiritual successor to Fracture, shares ideas with Larks Tongues Part 4. And there are some demos of them playing that stuff that you can hear where ideas from the two tracks are much more intermixed, you know? So it's like somewhere along the way in the composition process, it actually got separated into two things, or as it really started as one. Um,
Yeah,
and I
because
wouldn't be surprised if there's a lot of that happening, you know?
the terror runs or the brutal section, I forget what they call
Yep,
them. Those are shared between the tracks, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, well, this is awesome. I know everyone wants to know when will these things be done, but it might be better. Like, they know you said that the first two albums are finished, like, or you've got drafts, uh, and then you've made a start on what was the next one?
On Larks.
On Larks. Okay. Is there
Yeah, more than a start. It's more than halfway done, the first
okay?
draft, for sure.
Okay. Is
It's
that the last
it's a
Wetton
minimum
album?
75%. But sorry,
Is that the last Wetton album?
it's the first one. I went backwards
Oh, you went back. That's what
in
I
the
meant. The
purchase.
last
Yeah.
one that you're doing in this book.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
Okay. And then the things that are slowing you down are me and the team, right?
Um, yeah, pretty much. No, no, I mean not only that.
Yeah.
You know, I have an infant right now, so that too.
Yeah.
But
So we're in a it's done when it's done situation. There's
yes.
no specific due date. But man, I'm gonna guess if people really rally around this video, we can generate some excitement, some enthusiasm, and maybe light a fire under the proofreading team to get through everything. And we'll see about you finishing Larks as well.
Yes, indeed. Sounds like a plan.
Um, and then just for future thinking, there's more transcription work coming, right? I think Trey hinted at some of that.
Yeah, yeah. The next book after this one is the double duo. So that's the 2000s era, the early 2000s, and that's really full circle for me because that's where this whole project started, was right there. And I think I've been kind of building back up to that, because the building blocks for that material are in all of this older material, as I've been saying. So, but the Construction of Light is actually the song that I did my senior comprehensive exams in music in college on, and so I transcribed it and performed it and wrote a 50-page paper, gave a presentation, that whole thing, did a really deep analysis of it. And then I ended up posting my transcription online, and Trey found it. And that's how this whole project kicked off in the first place, so it'll be good to loop back around and sort of complete the circle, if you will.
Well, maybe for you, but I'm dreading busting out the NST guitar again.
Yeah, yeah, fair.
And then you are also working on a vocal part this week.
Yes.
You want to share what's going on?
Well, I guess so you are working on an acoustic version of Frame by Frame. Yeah,
Yeah.
because you're a masochist, is what I understand. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so I'm going to do my best to sing over that, and that's a song I actually played live many years back with one of the other members of the proofreading team, Matt Tate, several times. So also sort of a full circle moment.
Very cool. And then we have Stan Chong from the proofreading team who will be doing drums on that one. So really looking forward to that. And not that I expect this to become this big, project, but it wouldn't surprise me if it did. Because just last night I was thinking of other songs, and I'm working on Fracture on acoustic, and then I'm like, well, what if this and what if that, and then I'm like, that's like 10 King Crimson songs that are acoustic. Like, is there an album in the works? So I don't know. We'll see what
Hmm,
happens. Yeah.
okay.
Acoustic Crimson, just what nobody asked for, but people seem to be enjoying. So yeah,
Hey, I
if you didn't,
mean,
oh, go ahead.
we've got the Mostolatos record, right? The Romantic's Guide to King Crimson. So
That's right.
we may as well do an acoustic record too.
Yeah. And several people have asked, can you do all of Discipline? And I have been thinking about that. But there's just a lot of like effects and stuff I'd have to figure out. Like even just Elephant Talk. I was like, on the acoustic bass, can I just tap the part? There's no acoustic stick. So we've got to translate acoustically.
Need
Uh,
an acoustic guitar with a whammy bar to.
yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right, man. Thanks so much for this update. And if you've got any questions, if you're watching this, just leave a comment. Gabe and I will be looking at the comments and answering. Maybe we'll get Trey to pop in as well. And if you haven't already seen it, I did record Discipline on acoustic, the song Discipline. So that's fun to check out. And maybe by the time you watch this, the frame by frame acoustic version will be out as well. Thanks a lot, Gabe.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Musicscores.bandcamp.com. That's where you buy this stuff. The link was on the screen through half this interview. It'll be in the video description. But go buy these books. They're so, so super excellent. It's a massive pile of paper, and you can learn and listen and enjoy the music in a whole new way. All right, guys. See you in the next one.